Hi everyone, today we are going to paint peony flowers. You will need number 104 white paint, number 390 red paint, and number 400 magenta paint. Find a medium brush, but softer brushes will also work for this. And wet the entire brush in water and mix the white paint with water until it reaches a milk-like consistency. Apply this paint to all the bristles. Then dip half of the brush into the red paint and mix until the red becomes pink. And dip the very tip of the brush into magenta paint. This way, our brush has a gradient of 3 different colors. The whole brush is white, half is pink, and just the tip is magenta. So let's position the first petal. Normally on a piece of paper, the flower should not be right in the center. And whichever direction your flower points will be where it is angled to. So for our first flower, let's start in this area, facing the top right side. Make the petal big and spin the brush as you drag. This bigger positioned petal is facing the top right side of the paper. For the second petal, re-dip the brush in magenta paint. Paint a small petal on the left and on the right. Our flower petals should form around the shape of a round flower bud. Wrap around the middle, wrap around the middle. And same for the other side. And spin the brush towards the middle, so this way you will create a space for the oval flower bud. Now our brush is dry and out of pigment, so how do we re-dip it in color? Use the entire brush to dip in white and pink, and then just dip the tip of the brush into a bit of magenta. Let's add a petal here, another one here, and here. All of these are curving around the middle of the flower. At the bottom, one on the left, one on the right. Whenever you run out of pigment, just re-dip your brush in pink and magenta as previously described. Now the general shape of the flower is done, so let's add another layer of petals below this one to make the flower look fully bloomed. Dip the same brush into the light colored paints and dip the tip of the brush into magenta. Let's extend the flower petals. Keep the darker tip of the brush along the edge of the smaller petal and spin the brush while pressing and dragging around it. Done. Do the same thing on the right side and repeat on every petal until every petal looks like it is blossomed. Again, re-dip the brush whenever needed, so dip the entire brush in white, half in pink, and just the tip in magenta. like this, pink, and magenta. Okay, let's do some more petals. Dip the brush in darker colors like magenta whenever it's needed. And spin the brush to create large petals. Just spin the brush. And do the same on the opposite side. And in the center. The side watch. The flower doesn't have to be super symmetrical or round. Leave some gaps and imperfections. Those are okay. To really make the flower look like it's flowing and blossomed. Okay, now let's look at how to draw the center of the flower. The center should be darker than the flower petals, so use darker pinks and reds. There's no need to use any white. Use magenta and start following the curve of the flower petals. And when there's an excess of water, just use a piece of scrap paper to stop the paint from bleeding too much. Inside, use an even darker shade. Just like that, the peony flower is finished. Next, we'll paint the leaves and we'll finish by adding the stamens and detailing the center of the blossom. First, take out paint colors, yellow number 218 and blue number 495, but similar shades of blue will also work. Use a large medium bristled brush and dip the entire brush in water. After it is wet, mix the yellow and blue together to create your desired shade of green. And if the flower blossom you painted before was brighter, you can also dip a brush in a light watered down ink and mix it with yellow to create a more muted shade. This way, the colors between the flowers and leaves will balance out and your painting won't look too bright. After you've made your perfect shade of green, dip the tip of your brush in ink. paint the leaves that are closest towards us. These will be the darkest. 1 stroke, 2 strokes, 3 strokes. Pay attention. 1 stroke in the middle using the side of the brush and add strokes on either side. Usually the leaves on a peony flower will have 3 sections with a total of 9 points. So what does that mean? I will show you. It is when each leaf has 3 sections. There are going to be 3 leaves making a total of 9 points. Just like that. And the inner parts of the leaves closest to the blossom will be the darkest. Let's dip our brushes in ink so that there's more contrast in the colors of the leaves. This is a front-facing leaf. We can add a leaf on its side too. And there are large leaves and smaller ones. Let's create variation and differentiate the 2 groups. Then, when the leaves are pretty much dry, we will add veins and more detail. Notice how the leaves are all in groups of 2 or 3. Using the side of your brush, make large and small leaves. For the smaller leaves, you can also add some red to the middle so that the younger, newer leaves will have a warmer tint. Use the side of your brush and draw the middle, then the left, and the right. Make big and small leaves, dark and light. The entire brush should be green and the tip should be black. And the leaves should be a combination of different shades and colors. Alright, now that the leaves are mostly dry, we can add more detail. Dip the tip of a thin liner brush into dark ink. So watch how to draw the veins. First stroke, second stroke, like that. Draw a line in the middle, make it slightly curved, and draw a line to the right and to the left. And for the lighter leaves, you can use some red with the ink so the lines aren't as dark. Like this. And there's no need to be super detailed with the lighter leaves. We will also draw some branches to connect the leaves to each other. To draw the stem or the branch of the flower, dip your brush in a mixture of reddish brown and light watered down ink. A little bit of reddish brown. And some ink. Don't start from the corner, start from the side like this. There are some gaps where we can use even more watered down ink to draw leaves that appear to be farther away. For the branch, let's use some darker ink to add some texture and bumps. Use this ink to bring out the texture and the pattern of the wood, and even add some spikes if you want. We can add some flower buds onto these branches. To draw flower buds, use the same brush we used for the flower blossom. The entire brush should be pink and just the tip should be darker. Let's draw a bigger bud here. Left, right. There, one flower bud. For the younger, smaller buds, add some reddish brown and just dot onto the branches. Like this, barely ground. And for the larger bud, we can use some green leaves to encase it. Use the yellow and blue from before to make green, and dip the tip of your brush in a dark ink. One piece, 2 pieces, and 3 pieces. And you can draw more on the bottom and the sides. Some more leaves here. And some little ones by the bottom of the buds. And just like that, this flower is completed. And you can also add another flower blossom on top, which is what I'm gonna do. So dip the entire brush in white and mix it into the pink. And then add some magenta on the tip. Add a small blossom on top of the flower. Alright, the blossom is now done. Let's add some leaves around it. The leaves are now done, and there is no need to add any detail to the smaller leaves that are farther away. We can just draw some veins on the darker, closer ones, and that will be it. Just finished finalizing all the leaves, and there's a lot, but now we will draw another branch to connect the smaller blossom. Still use reddish brown, add some ink, and draw the separate branch. Like this. Now let's intersect this branch by drawing one right here. And here. Use some reddish brown, and adding some red is okay too, just don't add too much. And let's draw some more buds. And now I'm just drawing some leaves by the buds and connecting them to the branches. Lastly, let's add some stamens to the flowers. Use the thinnest liner brush and dip into white paint. And you can also add a bit of yellow for more color. And traditionally, white makes the stamens really bright and pop, but yellow adds some more color and makes the painting look more interesting. Also make sure that the brush is dry and has little to no water in it to prevent the paint from bleeding and spreading. Don't make the stamens completely vertical and perfect. Make them cross each other and bend. And also don't make them completely uniform, so make them differ a bit in height and thickness, so they're not all the same. And you can also make them bigger to match the size of the flower and to make it look bolder. To make the stamens even brighter, sometimes we can add some cyan blue paint. So just dot some on, and it really makes the yellow stamens pop. And our peony flowers are done. A big one, a smaller one, a large flower bud, and some smaller ones. I'll add some leaves really quick. But that's all. Thanks everyone.